afternoon, and welcome to this year's Virtual Open Day, Eurojust Virtual Open Day 2021. This is actually the second year in a row that we're organizing a Virtual Open Day. And basically, we're organizing Virtual Open Days, as you can understand, because of the COVID crisis. It would have been our pleasure to welcome you all here in our premises, to see you in person, to speak to you in person and have a coffee with you and discuss the work that we do, our mission, and what career opportunities are available to people who would be interested in working for Eurojust. Unfortunately, the COVID crisis does not allow us to allow visitors into the building at this point in time. Hopefully next year, we could organize a hybrid meeting where those who are able to come here will be in the building, and those who are not able to come will be able to join us in an open day, in a virtual open day. Now, COVID has taught us a lot of positive aspects of virtual meetings. And it gives you the possibility, and I understand that there are many of you who are joining us from outside the Netherlands. And this would not have been possible if it wasn't for the virtual open day. So I welcome all the participants that are coming from across Europe and also from abroad. For you to know, this session will be recorded and you will be able to watch it later on YouTube. Now, today I will be speaking to you with Claudia Triff, the head of human resources, who's sitting on my right-hand side. I think now you can see her. We'll be talking to you about different career opportunities in Eurojust. We'll try to explain to you what it is like to be an employer here and what it would be like for you to be an employee. We'll speak to you about the different types of contracts that are available for our staff, and internships for young graduates that could come and have an internship experience here at Eurojust. And then, of course, you will be at the end able to ask various questions, and hopefully Claudia and myself will be able to answer them. But before going into the presentation, I would like to take this opportunity to show you a little video. I think it will give you a good feeling of what it is like to work for Eurojust.
Yes, thank you, Nick, for this introduction. Good morning, everyone. I'm very happy to be able to meet you again, still in a video format. However, as Nick said, hopefully from next year onwards, we will have the opportunity for hybrid open days. It would be good to have those of you who cannot make it to The Hague have you via video conference. But those of you who can make it, who want to have a feel of what Eurojust is like, what The Hague is like, to meet you here in person, invite you for a coffee, why not? So I will turn on the video to get the virtual feel of Eurojust today, with the hope that from next year we can meet in person.
What made me start my career in IT was my passion for mathematics and science in general. It's the future. It's bringing life to a lot of dreams. Artificial intelligence was a dream 50 years ago. Now it's real. And applying this for Eurojust in order to fight crime, cross-border crime. What I like the most is to make people working together and make these people understand each other. For more than 70 years now, Europe managed to eradicate war in the European continent. So why not eradicate crime now? It's not working actually. I'm coming with a smile at work and I'm happy to work here.
The most what I like working for Eurojust is the team. I love my team. Working with them is like solving every single problem, being creative, being original, And it is so beautiful to see how everyone is like a family member. The biggest challenge is to communicate the complexity of judicial procedures to the general public in easy and attractive way. We use different tools like leaflets, reports, infographics, videos, social media posts. It was my dream to work for the EU agency, which makes a difference. I do what I like and I love what I do.
I joined Eurojust because I have always wanted to work for the EU institutions because I always felt part of a wider society. What I really like about my job is that I get to work with a case management system, which is the system we use at Eurojust in order to manage the sensitive operational information. Then I get to provide trainings to all newcomers, while at the same time I actually get to meet them. The real motivation here is thinking that just by performing our jobs, we are contributing actually to make Europe a safer place and helping to bring justice to European citizens. And actually, united, we are stronger.
I started a career in law as I always have dreamt to help other people. And it was, and it's still about helping others. Eurojust is a unique agency, I would say a unique place of work in this world. We can call ourselves extremely fortunate and lucky to be at the heart of judicial cooperation and coordination between prosecutors from the European Union and beyond. I can help to bring justice to victims from all over Europe, victims of serious crime. I wanted to be part of this team.
Recently, we conducted a survey among our staff. One of the questions that was asked was, what is it that you like most about working at Eurojust? And the most common answer was that it provides me with a sense of purpose. A sense of purpose. I was really happy about this result because, honestly, I could identify with it 100%. Each morning when I enter our beautiful premises, I feel proud and very privileged. Working for Eurojust means working for a safer Europe. And what can be more rewarding than that? Our agency is a knowledge-based center of expertise, and its most valuable assets are its staff. At Eurojust, you will meet inspiring colleagues from all over Europe and beyond. You can benefit from great career opportunities. You will enjoy excellent working conditions in a high-tech environment, and also the flexibility of telework, because one thing that COVID has taught us is the usefulness of telework. But above all, you will have a sense of purpose. You will have a job that makes a true difference. A difference for the European Union and all its citizens. Security and justice. That is what Eurojust is about. This is what Eurojust works for every day. And you can be part of that. I think from the video that you just saw, you understand, and the message is quite clear, that a lot of our staff are quite inspired by the work that they do. They're very engaged and motivated because they do have that sense of purpose. And these staff members, they come from different parts of Europe. If you see the slide that is now being projected, we have staff members coming from every corner of Europe, with maybe one exception. We don't have anybody recruited from Luxembourg. So if anybody's listening in from Luxembourg, please apply. We would be very happy to recruit somebody from Luxembourg. We have even from other smaller states like Cyprus and Malta, We have recruited people and they're working here as our staff members. But we also have prosecutors that come from third countries that are permanently in the premises. And there you get to interact with these prosecutors from other countries. So it's quite a stimulating environment, a very multicultural environment, multilingual environment. And I think this is one of the characteristics that is important for you to know, and also an attractive characteristic. As far as gender distribution is concerned, you will notice that we have a large percentage of women, females, and a smaller percentage of males. That is for various reasons. We look into recruitment procedures that try to attract more males, but as it stands now, there is this, if you like, disbalance between the male and the female population. So I pass now the floor to Claudia, who will talk to you a little bit more about the types of contracts that are available for staff, the conditions of these contracts, and then we will move on to other aspects of what it is like to be working at Eurojust. Claudia.
Yes, thank you, Nick. So let's see, how can you work for us? Eurojust is recruiting several types of professionals. First of all, temporary agents, then contract agents, seconded national experts, and interns. Our vast majority of staff are temporary agents. The label is misleading. For temporary agents, we offer contracts of 5 years plus 5 years, and after 5 years, after the 10 years, your contract can become indefinite. And actually, the majority of our staff of our temporary agents have indefinite contracts. The other category I mentioned are the contract agents. Initially, contract agents were recruited for temporary work or for project work, but these restrictions have faded over time, and contract agents have become part of our core staff. Contracts are offered for three years plus 3 years plus indefinite. What are the profiles we're looking for? As we show on the PowerPoint, we look for professionals for our core business, for our operational work, and also professionals for the support services. For our operational work, we're looking for judicial cooperation professionals, both in administrative and assistant functions. We're looking for data management professionals. We're looking for analysts. These are the main profiles that we employ. With regard to the support areas, we're hiring in most of them, starting from legal affairs, HR, budget, finance, procurement, IT, ICT security, data protection, communication, events management. I mentioned them in random order, but they are equally important for the good functioning of Eurojust. In addition to these two contract types, we have the seconded national experts. These are professionals employed by competent authorities in the member states who are seconded as experts to Eurojust for different portfolios, mostly related to operational work. And last but not least, the interns, and we have a dedicated slide for interns towards the end of our presentation. To come back a little bit on the temporary and contract agents contract, our core statutory staff. I need to say that all vacancies are published on our website. So every single vacancy for which we recruit externally, you will see it, you will find it on our website, together with all the requirements for the post, or the requirements and the procedure, the detailed description of the procedure. I would like to highlight a few key elements that you need to keep in mind when you're applying. First of all, the eligibility requirements. So this is a first sorting function, let's say a step in the procedure that you have to comply with. What are the eligibility requirements? First of all, to qualify for a temporary and contract agent position, you have to be national from one of the EU member states. If you don't meet this requirement, unfortunately, you cannot get a job of TA, temporary or contract agent at Eurojust. Some other eligibility requirements are the fulfillment of military service, if it's mandatory in your home country, be physically fit to perform your duties, have a C1 level of one of the languages of the EU, and B2 of a second language. And last but not least, produce references as regards suitability for the performance of the duties. So our third bullet point in the PowerPoint. What does this produce references mean? When you list your professional experience in your application. This professional experience has to be proven with supporting documents that you will be asked for. And these supporting documents are contracts, reference letters, and so on. Another element that you need to consider when applying, and which is also eliminatory, is the qualifications. So we accept only qualifications awarded in an EU member state. And if you have a non-EU diploma, then we need a certificate of equivalence from one of the EU member states in order to recognize your diploma in our selection procedure. Actually, I would like to...
Yes. If I could just intervene here, Claudia, I think it's important for our participants, our viewers, to know that a lot of these, the procedures that we have in place, the recruitment procedures, they're based on transparency, they're based on fairness, objectivity, and the key message that I would like to point out is that they're based on merit. As a public organization, as an EU public organization, it's our obligation to ensure that we recruit the best, the most qualified candidates in every recruitment procedure. And we have to do that being very fair, very open, very transparent to all the candidates. So it's very important to stress that because we are a public organization and we need to be very transparent in these procedures and ensure fairness. And that, I think, is guaranteed.
Nick, actually, thank you. And you gave now a different spin to my presentation. I'm going to jump one slide and come back to it, if you don't mind.
Not at all. This is a live presentation, so we could be flexible and move from one slide to the other. No problem. Thank you.
Yes, and it's a good idea then to continue speaking about the selection procedures. How it's happening in practice. We published a vacancy notice with an application deadline. You need to log in on our website. In our e-recruitment tool, you have your application there. by the deadline, you need to submit your application. And I would like to emphasize that the deadline is binding. We don't have flexibility there. If you didn't meet the deadline, unfortunately, we cannot consider your application. What happens next? As Nick said, for us, transparency, equal rights, equal opportunities are very important. So we have selection boards appointed to conduct the selection procedures. In every selection procedure, we have a representative from the recruiting unit, we have an HR representative, and we have a representative of the staff committee. And the role of this representative is to ensure the transparency, the equal treatment, the fact that the rules are properly applied, and so on. So we have a sort of multidisciplinary selection board. This selection board does the first screening I mentioned to you at our earliest slide, which is the eligibility check. Those candidates who made it through the eligibility check are assessed in a second stage against the requirements of the vacancy notice. So we see what are the requirements listed in the vacancy. A, B, C. Is the candidate meeting those requirements? And the respective requirements, so your CV is scored against those requirements in a vacancy notice. After the second screening phase, the selection board comes up with a short list of candidates to be invited for written tests. And after written tests, we have interviews. The outcome of the interviews is usually a recommendation to the appointing authority, so Nick sitting on my left, to constitute a reserve list of successful candidates to be considered for the recruitment of the respective vacancy. So this is in brief how a selection procedure is being conducted. Reserve lists usually have a 2-year validity, which means that while a reservist is valid, we can recruit at any time if a post becomes vacant. Is there anything else on the selection procedures that I missed? That is...
No, I think you covered all the aspects of the selection procedure, which, like you mentioned, ensures equal opportunities for everybody and are very transparent. Maybe I could add that for some recruitment procedures for more sensitive or more important posts, we even have on the selection board representatives from other organizations, other agencies, the commission sometimes, etc., in order to give that extra guarantee of objectivity and fairness.
Yes, actually, this is a good point. We sometimes have expert members as well. When we need specific expertise, then we bring in in-house or external expert members to make sure that we carry out a proper assessment of the candidates and their skills and competencies. Okay, this brings us back.
Okay.
Yeah. To what we offer. Why would you join us? Why is it interesting to work for Eurojust? I think the video already gave you a flavor of what the atmosphere is, how the people are here at Eurojust. In addition to that, we have a very competitive salary package. It includes, it's of course case by case. If you're not recruited from the Netherlands, if you're a foreigner, then you get expatriation or foreign residence allowance. If you have a household, you can get the household allowance. dependent child allowance, and in addition to that, we have health and personal and accident insurance, together with pension and unemployment coverage. A few other things I would like to mention is the access to the European school for the children, for your children. Very good training opportunities, flexible working arrangements, the hybrid working, which is working out very well, and of course support in relocating to The Hague if you come from abroad. Yes, so basically this is the package that we're offering.
Exactly. I mean, the package itself is very interesting. Working at Eurojust premises is also an attractive element of working at Eurojust, because we are fortunate to be in a very beautiful building that was tailor-made for our needs, and it has really made a big difference in the way people feel when they come to work. But again, although it's mentioned in the video that Claudia referred to, I would like to stress that maybe more than what we offer as a package, the remuneration, the health benefits, the pension system, etc., what is really, really more attractive is the sense of purpose that working at Eurojust provides. You end up working for a safer Europe, and you don't have to be a specialist, a prosecutor, or a legal analyst to contribute to that. You could work for HR, you can work for IT, you can work in the budget unit, you can work in other technical support, logistical support units, but you all contribute to the goal to the mission of Eurojust, to make Europe a safer place, to make Europe to ensure that security and justice is accomplished in Europe. So this sense of purpose, I think, is what is the core attraction that we have, the most important attractive element that we have as an organization. And you have seen from the presentation, from the video, that staff do have that sense of purpose. And I think this is what is really attractive here.
Yes. When I arrived.
Yes, it's true, and we're becoming even more dynamic, and maybe this is an opportunity to say a few words about the future of Europe, of Eurojust. Fortunately, we were able to, and we had prepared the various analyses and studies about the need to digitalize. And digitalization has become one of the priorities of the European Commission, and recently approved the Digital Criminal Justice Program for Eurojust. Now this program, this big project that we will be undertaking in the coming years, will give a new dynamic to Eurojust, because we will be digitalizing a lot of the work that we're doing now, ensuring that we could benefit even more from all the facts, the data, the analysis that we could conduct electronically, using even artificial intelligence in the future. So the prospects of Eurojust in the coming years are quite positive, very positive, very dynamic, and something that we're all looking forward to seeing, because we will start a major digitalization project as of, actually we have already started. We were fortunate enough to receive from the European Commission an additional budget in order to kickstart this project from this year. So this process will take a few years, but it will provide Eurojust with the ability to actually increase the capacity that it has to support the criminal cases from the various member states in a much more dynamic and a much more effective way.
So if I may sum up, I think we're struggling a bit with the microphones, because somehow we're not centered. Yes, now it's good.
Okay.
So I would like to sum up then what you said, what I said, what you said, what I said. Basically, what we're offering is a very exciting working environment, a dynamic Eurojust, a very competitive remuneration package, and a nice place to live in The Hague.
I have to admit that despite the weather, I think living in The Hague is probably one of the best experiences I've had. I've lived in various cities in Europe and even in North America. And I have to say the living conditions here are excellent. It's a small but very cosmopolitan city. You have the sea, the beach, because we're very close to the sea, as you know. And you also have a lot of green, a lot of cycling paths, which are very safe. And cycling makes a difference. I think for a lot of our staff that cycle every day to work, you can see that psychologically they feel much better, because it provides you with a different sense of feeling when you come to work on a bicycle rather than get stuck in traffic or take other means of transportation. It's generally a very pleasant and pleasant city to live in.
Are you cycling to work, Nick?
I walk to work. I don't live very far away. Most of the time I walk to work, except when it's raining, then I take the car. And I feel guilty about taking the car, but yes.
Do you have bicycle?
Yes, of course.
And you use it?
A lot. I cycle quite a bit myself. And I cycle because it's safe. They have bicycle paths almost everywhere you want to go in The Hague. And even if you want to have rides in the dunes, cycle through the dunes or other areas, they're very well. The infrastructure for cycling is fantastic.
Yes, indeed. And I would like to echo you, Nick, that it's a nice place to live. Also, when you have kids, the living is very easy here. I know that for single people, it's a bit boring, but
Amsterdam is only 45 minutes away.
Yes, that's also true. Relevant for the families with kids. In addition to the European school, we have a number of other schools like the British, the international, the French. So there are different opportunities, and there are after-school activities in English and in other languages. So if
actually, now that you mention English, I have to say that I feel guilty because in the last 5 or 6 years that I've been living in The Hague, I haven't learned very much Dutch. Basically because we don't need Dutch. Everybody speaks English. It's so easy to get around. You feel very comfortable. Even if you try to speak a little bit of Dutch, they will the Dutch people will revert to English and speak to you in English. So it's quite an easy adjustment for somebody that doesn't know the language of the country, the Dutch, because English seems to be like a second language, very natural to everybody. So that's actually another attractive element of living here in The Hague and working at Eurojust, that you don't feel the problems, or you don't live the problems that you would have if you would go to a country where you settle and you start working in a country where you don't know the language, and it's difficult for you to learn the language. Because, okay, for me, especially at my age, I think it would be quite difficult to learn Dutch now. But
yes, that's a very good point, and it's very easy to manage the Dutch administration with English. Lots of websites in
I never had any problems
English.
with the Dutch administration. On the contrary, they're very helpful, very efficient. Yes.
Well, you come from the Greek administration. I come from the Romanian administration. I think we have a certain benchmarks. Yes. And now I propose that we move to the next page. Many of our participants are waiting for the news we have on the internships. We have stopped our internships since the COVID started, due to the circumstances, and we really miss our interns. Interns bring a lot of energy, a lot of enthusiasm. They do a lot of work, so we would like to have them back, and we intend to launch a new internship program, this time a paid internship program, which should be out at the beginning of 2022. We will start with about 14 paid internships in all the areas in the administration. we will publish a call for expression of interest, of a sort of vacancy notice, which I would like to invite young graduates to apply. We will have a small selection procedure, and the successful candidates will get the possibility to work for us for 5 months. So internships will be for 5 months. The idea is to have them twice per year. As the policy is in the making, for 2022, we expect to have only one call. So to have interns on board from the autumn onwards. However, from 2023, we would like to have interns at the beginning of the year and in the first half and the second half of the year. I think I can say already that the grant is going to be 1,200 per month, and we will also pay the travel costs to get to The Hague and to go back to your home country at the end of the internships. I think that's it for the moment on the internship. So please keep an eye on our website whether you're interested in internships and temporary and contract agent posts. And Nick, before we take the questions, I would like to have a question to you.
Oh.
What kind
you didn't warn me.
I didn't, yes. And I'm not going to offer you a job either. You already have one. I think it's enough. What are the type of people you would like to have on board? What is, in your opinion, the profile of the ideal candidate that you want to see at Eurojust?
For me, to tell you the truth, I would like to see people that are inspired by the mission of Eurojust, that are motivated to work for the mission of Eurojust, that are staff members that will become involved and motivated and engaged in the work, that could work well with other colleagues, because teamwork and working with other colleagues in a multicultural environment is a key to being an appreciated staff member, because like you have seen, we have staff from all over Europe, speaking different languages, coming from different backgrounds, cultural backgrounds, linguistic backgrounds, etc. And it's very important for staff to be able to adapt to this working environment and be able to work carefully and well with their colleagues in a constructive way. So I think that's the basic characteristics of staff that usually, for me, make a difference.
Thank you very much. I hope now the candidates got an inspiration to apply for Eurojust. Now that they know how it feels like to be with us, and also what we're looking for.
And we look forward to your questions, so please send them in, and we will try to address them as soon as we get them from our colleagues that are now collecting them.
Yes, actually, I already got some of the questions.
Can you read them, so because I don't see them?
I'm starting from the last question. What is the average age of employees at Eurojust? Average age 45, 49. Apart from internships, yes. So this is the average age. How many people normally get added to a reserve list? What is the likelihood of receiving an offer when one is added to a reserve list? So the reserve list depends on the position and on the number of vacant posts that we have. We don't create reserve lists for the sake of creating them. We create reserve lists either because we have a vacant post or in anticipation of a post becoming vacant. So usually it's quite a high likelihood that you will get an offer. Candidates who reach 75% of the interview and written test scores. And I answer the question whether you get an offer if you are on a reserve list. Do employees internally?
Maybe I could add
Yeah.
something. The reserve lists we usually have a selection procedure when we have a vacant post that we want to fill. But often the reserve list, because they are valid for 2 years, if another vacancy arises for the same profile, then it would be possible for us to offer the position to the remaining candidates on the reserve list. And we have done that on numerous occasions. Because being on the reserve list means that you have successfully passed the exams, if you like, of the selection procedure, and the selection panel considers you eligible, qualified to work at Eurojust in that position that you had applied for. And we usually have more than one person on the reserve list because for obvious reasons, the quality of the candidates is quite good, and sometimes you cannot distinguish between them, so you have more people on the reserve list. It's also better for us to have more people on the reserve list because somebody might not accept the offer. And then because of the other reason that I mentioned, we might have another vacancy in the time period that the reserve list is valid, so we could offer a post to the remaining, one of the remaining candidates. This is a system, if you like, a procedure that is followed by the EU institutions, the Commission, the other agencies, etc. The creation of reserve lists. It's not common in other administrations, public administrations, I think, but this is how basically the EU works when it comes to recruitments.
The next question, is the presented gender distribution the same in high-level positions? So currently, for the management position, we have half and half. We have 7 women and 6 male managers, excluding the management positions that are currently empty. Next question. Are unsuccessful candidates given constructive feedback on their applications? Yes, we do. We do give feedback to candidates who come back to us and ask for it.
And I think that's important. If you are a candidate and you are interested and you're not on the reserve list, take the opportunity to call HR and get some feedback. That way you will understand maybe a little bit better why you weren't able to qualify for the reserve list and what you could do in the meantime to improve your educational background or your professional experience in order to be better placed in a future selection procedure.
Yes, what I would like to advise the candidates actually is to do a sort of self-assessment of their CV against the requirements. This is very important because this is what our selection board do. A very thorough assessment of your CV against the requirement in the vacancy notice. And if you think that you are a strong candidate and still you haven't been considered, then you can solicit this feedback via email. Please do that via email. What I would like to mention is that you're not going to get information regarding the competitors. So feedback is only about you. You will get feedback on your assessment, on your qualifications, on your performance in the interview. Next question: How long does a selection procedure take on average for a temporary position? In the last few years, they are quite fast. Our recruitment team is putting a lot of pressure on the selection board to finish the procedures quickly. But of course, it depends on the number of applicants, because if we have a selection with 300, 400, 500 candidates, it takes longer than a selection with 50 candidates. Usually 2 to 3 months minimum. Do employees internally who might be interested in new vacancies published get an advantage? No. So we follow the process which is published on the in the vacancy notice and on our website, and internal applicants and externals have the same treatment.
And from experience, I would add that we have examples of recruitment procedures where internals have applied and were not successful, and we ended up recruiting externals. And we have examples also of internals applying and being successful. They do have the advantage of knowing their organization a little bit better, the mission a little bit better, etc. But that does not mean that this is an advantage given to them because they're working for us. Each selection procedure is autonomous and looks at each of the candidates objectively. There's no preference put on any of the internal candidates. And like I said, we have examples where internal candidates were not offered were not even put on the reserve list of recruitment procedures that they applied for.
Yes, thank you, Nick. We have a number of questions now on the internships. Do you think there might be the possibility to do internships remotely even in 2022?
No, the goal for 2022 is that we have internships in-house. We're optimistic. Okay, we have to still wait to see how the health crisis, the COVID crisis develops, but we're optimistic that as of next year, we will return to a kind of normality, which will be a little bit different, of course, because there will be a lot more teleworking by staff and interns perhaps also. But the idea of internship positions is that the young graduates that come to work at Eurojust live and experience working at Eurojust and work hand in hand with the colleagues that they will be working with in the units where they will be assigned. So remote, I think, remote internships are not an option. Also because we will be paying the interns an allowance, and this allowance is for them to be able to live in The Hague for those come from other countries, etc., to facilitate and give them a fair opportunity to be an intern at Eurojust.
Indeed, and I would like to add to what Nick mentioned. The aim of the internship is for the interns to develop their technical skills, see concretely how it is in a workplace, develop team spirit, a sense of belonging, and so on. And this is only possible when you are physically here. We have noticed with colleagues who arrived during the pandemic, who never had a physical sense of what Eurojust is, that they had difficulties to integrate. So we want to overcome this barrier. Being an intern here means that you will have an assignment. So you will have concrete tasks that you will be doing for those 5 months. You will have a supervisor that you will need to report to. The supervisor will give you feedback on your work, check if you met your milestones, and so on. So it's going to be a real-life work experience. So it's not something that you come here, have a coffee, then you go home. It's real-life work experience. This is what we're aiming for. That's why presence will also be needed. Given your experience with having interns at your institution, what is the likelihood of being hired as a permanent staff member after the cessation of the internship? I don't have the statistics at hand. I know that we have several colleagues who have started as interns at Eurojust. They weren't hired at the end of the internships, their internship, because they didn't have sufficient experience. So these people went away for a while after they've done the internship at Eurojust, and they applied when they had the necessary professional experience, the number of years required for a given job. And when you come back, it's I wouldn't say that you have an advantage, but certainly you have more knowledge of the organization. You know, as Nick said, you know what the organization is looking for. So you can focus then on those requirements to be strong on the areas that are needed here at Eurojust. And of course, then you are competitive and you're to be successful. On average, how many positions are open per year in legal profiles? This depends on the needs. I think we have one call per year for lawyers, judicial cooperation advisors more often. I think legal, yeah, about one every year or every other year.
It's true that as we are an agency that whose mission is related to justice, many of our staff members, I think maybe even one of the largest groups of staff here do have a legal background. So, and we end up, because of that reason, because of the need to have legal experts, recruiting more regularly legal profiles.
Okay, which is the compatibility policy of Eurojust? Is it possible to teach lessons occasionally in seminars, for example, or publish papers in scientific journals?
Staff members.
For staff members, yes, yeah. Nick, please. Nick knows the answer. He signs the approvals.
Yes, often our staff, because they are qualified, highly specialized, they are invited to various institutions, universities to present various subjects, usually related to some of the work that they do at Eurojust, and this is a possibility, of course. For other staff members that continue their research and prepare papers that are published in journals, that is also a possibility. It's a right under the staff regulations. All they have to do is inform the organization that they're publishing it, and they're not using any sensitive information in these publications.
Is it possible to work at Eurojust without any professional experience, for example, as a legal officer?
Usually for most posts, you have eligibility requirements for contract agents and for temporary agents, and there is foreseen there a requirement that you do have some professional experience. So it's quite difficult. Where you don't need professional experience is the traineeships. There, we usually look for recent graduates, either bachelor's degree or master's degrees, graduates who just finished their master's degrees in the various fields that we look for. But I think it's much more difficult if you don't have any professional experience to be recruited.
For the function group 4 contracts, I think it's 1 year, the requirement. No, it's more? 0? Yeah. So you can come in as a
contract agent.
As a contract agent, function group 4, and you don't need any professional experience. However, making it to the reservists is not automatic, because you are competing with people who may have some professional experience, and
like you mentioned before, the competition is very strong for many of the recruitment procedures that we launch. There are large numbers of applicants from all over Europe, and the competition is quite significant. So this should be kept in mind also.
Next question, is the payment of 1,200 per month for internship position a net or a gross estimation? This is the net amount. If you are appointed for a job, how much time do you give to the elected candidate to move to The Hague and start working? Before the pandemic, actually, we expected candidates to be here the day they started the contract. Now we are more flexible, usually 2 to 3 months after you started your contract, you're expected to be here. We had been working from home for quite a while. I would say until now, beginning of November, we had our main way of working was teleworking. However, now we're returning progressively, so we're coming back to normal.
Yeah, but in general, you're not expected to come to work the day you receive the offer, because we understand that some people are working already somewhere else or have other obligations, family obligations, rentals, house rentals, etc. So we give a certain amount of a period, 3 months, 4 months, depending on the person's conditions, for them to start working. So there is a flexibility there.
But not too much.
No, because we usually try to push the candidates to come as soon as possible, because we have the need, and it's there, it's real, and we try to have them on board as soon as possible. That is our aim. Of course, yeah, there's some flexibility there.
Why do you throw obstacles in form of years of experience even for entry-level posts, even if this working experience has nothing in common with future job? Yes, well, we have minimum experience requirement established in our staff regulations and the implementing provisions. So this is what we apply. We don't randomly come up with this requirement. And as I mentioned, there are positions for which no minimum experience is required. Are the internships just for graduates? So we're going back to internships. Is it possible to offer an internship for older ones? Yes, the internships are mainly for graduates or people that follow a new career stream and graduated a new diploma. So basically, yes, the internships are for graduates. What is usually the professional background of staff who work on judicial cooperation positions? Legal background, prosecutors, judges, people from the academia, analysts, people which work in judicial cooperation as such. So these are the main profiles.
Yeah, and some persons coming from the ministries of justice in departments of international cooperation. They have usually the experience necessary for judicial cooperation advisors.
Yes, then.
So I think we've covered most of the questions, and take this opportunity to thank all the participants and also the interest and the questions that you have sent us, and wishing you a nice afternoon and a nice weekend, and hope that some of you will be applying for the various vacancies that we will be publishing, and keep an eye out on our website where we publish everything, all the recruitment procedures, and we will also be publishing the internship calls for expression of interest as of the beginning of next year sometime.